We live in the future. Game systems are more powerful than ever before. We can now sit on virtual mountaintops and watch the sun set over serene valleys. We swim in gently burbling streams and rivers and find new ways to wreak death and destruction upon digital terrorists. And yet, as I look forward to the tentpole games that are on their way over the next couple of months, more Assassin's Creed, more Call of Duty, more Far Cry, it sometimes feels to me like developers don't know what to do with the technology that's now at their disposal. It feels like a video game's arms race, but instead of superpowers competing to develop the most powerful atomic bomb, they're racing to see who can make the nicest clouds. It seems like all the major studios are content to do is make games bigger and more realistic, and that's becoming ever more noticeable with the current generation of consoles. It's also why the leap from PS3 and Xbox 360 is less noticeable than previous generational jumps. Why many of us are still asking 2 years on, no really, show us what you can do. In the past, it felt like technological restrictions inspired creativity, that somehow those working with 8-bit systems were forced to use the tools at hand to produce new types of games. Now developers have all the power they could possibly dream of, and it just comes across like they're lost in the massive game worlds they seem intent on creating. Like they don't know how to use the embarrassment of riches they have to hand. That it almost seems overwhelming, and so they take the most obvious route, bigger and better looking. Just because you have the most paints doesn't make you the best painter. I'm not a games developer. I don't know firsthand how difficult it is to make a game. I just wish some of these teams would first sit down and think about the gameplay potential before they start building a map and filling it with things to do. It's creating a generation of more or less identikit games full of content and lovely sunsets, but without bold new ideas. Nintendo, as always, is the one exception to this rule. Their first-party games often appear to be the result of looking at what the technology is and asking about the sort of gameplay possibilities it offers. Nintendo has always resisted stuffing a ton of graphical power under the hood of its consoles. In fact, the only time it had a system on a par with its contemporaries was the N64, but I got the sense that was because the company saw the gameplay potential of 3D, not its ability to recreate the world around us. But then Nintendo is different, singular, and I accept that not having the most powerful console may have cost it some sales. Particularly because not all of the third-party Nintendo publishers have the same gameplay-based culture as they do, and Nintendo releases a new in-house game roughly once every 9 years. That said, the question I'm asking here is what sort of gameplay can this generation offer us that we've never seen before? I'm thinking in terms of blockbuster movies. Look at the films of James Cameron. From The Abyss onwards, he has always used the technology to tell different sorts of stories and offer different types of action sequences. Several years on, Avatar still seems like the one movie to really understand the potential of 3D visuals. And we need more Camerons in the industry. You know, there's little wonder people are still clamouring for Half-Life 3 because Valve got it. Half-Life 2 could have been just another first-person shooter, but the gravity gun offered entirely new types of gameplay. They might not do a lot of traditional development these days, but they proved with Portal that they still get it. Likewise, the team behind Journey, a game that worked within its budget to create something new and profound. And then there's No Man's Sky, a game put together by a relatively tiny team that promises to take us to other planets like no other game has before. You know, much of the real creativity seems to be coming out of the indie scene. Why is it falling on the shoulders of these supposedly smaller teams that give us big ideas? I don't even want something that alien and weird. I want something that looks comfortingly familiar, which the original ideas can piggyback on. Slip your originality between a couple of slices of bread and serve me an imagination sandwich. It's a shame that the big budget AAA developers aren't following the lead of the industry's more pioneering, risk-taking teams, that they can't sneak in something new, something original amid their million-dollar pyrotechnics. Giant open worlds are not gameplay, sunsets are not gameplay, bridging the uncanny valley is not gameplay, fatter guns are not gameplay. It would be a crying shame if we look back on this generation seeing nothing but incrementally more convincing simulations of reality. I want gameplay that tests me, that bends my mind into new shapes, that makes me do stuff I've never had to do before. You know, I get it, you're good at making trees. Now show me something new.